business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation or a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit, it's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal, every decision, every day to make a powerful impact on others. My guest today is going to light you up. He's retired, as his wife would say, but he's not really retired because he's still impacting and serving people every day. And he'll motivate you, he'll challenge you, and more importantly, you're going to walk away with tools that inspire action, both in your life and the lives of others. Before we dive in, though, here's your homework. How are you going to serve yourself and others today? Remember, it doesn't have to be a big impact. Even a small act of kindness or courage could change the game. So lean in, take notes. Let's discover how servant leadership in business can create ripple effects that last far beyond the bottom line. Quick shout out to my sponsor, Epic Impact, the only universal, emotionally resonant messaging framework that works anywhere for any audience. This 4-step system transformed how I pitch, post, and engage with the 4 key things for a story: engage, persuade, inspire, and close with clarity. I use it daily and it works. So grab your free trial at epicimpact.ai with promo code Steve to start inspiring action today. And a quick shout out, we hit top 20 in small business marketing podcast. It's because of you, audience and guests, and my guest today. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Let's keep impacting people every day or as much as we can. With that being said, let's bring Bill on. Bill, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
No, thank you for having me, Steve. I'm not sure I qualify, but we'll try to help you if we can.
This is a CEO with fun in the middle of his name. He loves to have fun, which I love. You're retired, but you're still working with CEOs. What does a servant CEO look like to you?
A servant CEO. Well, that's a tough question for me. It's pretty complex because it's CEO Zones, my retirement project. We have 5 different types of content partners who truly run the globe, pass out their books, give keynotes, and there's 3 or 4 different flavors of what I found to be servant leadership. So that's why my mind, of being analytical, by the way, my mind, and a babbler, so watch out. But in my mind, there's several different things. But I guess the easiest way to answer that from my personal perspective would be, if you take care of the people, the profits will follow. So that would be part of a servant's heart, not necessarily all of it. And then generosity, character, all those things kind of character first, but then those personal values lead into that. If that's kind of where you'd like to go, we can go as long as you want in that. So
No, that's great because that's the values I want people to see that they need to look for. Because they ask me, what does a servant leader look like? Servant, what does service mean? And those are great values. Now I'm going to guess here. I'm going to take a shot. Your military experience helped you with all this?
my military experience taught me span of control, how to be analytical, and probably a micromanager early in my career, to the chagrin of my employees. But as life went on, then I was raised in a great home. My father was self-employed. He was a mechanic, had multiple garages here in Pennsylvania. And so I saw a cash business, and I saw a man who took care of his employees all of my life. So that would be. Then into the military, I saw a different thing where leadership is what I'll call an older style of leadership in today's world. But I'm just an old great grandfather, so that makes sense. But then as you move forward to that, I believe in divine appointments. And while I was still full time in the Air Force, after being full time in the Army, I met the owner founder of Chick-fil-A, Truett Cathy, that little 20 billion plus debt-free company out there based in Atlanta called Chick-fil-A. But while we were still very young, had just bought our first house, had those 2 car payments in the driveway, and we thought we were really doing something fun. Truett and his wife Jeanette were kind enough to offer us, my wife and I, jobs at the local Chick-fil-A, which became then a career for a while. So I'd say that next part of servant leadership One of the keynotes that I always am reminded of, one time I made a mistake for Chick-fil-A. And Mr. Cathy, he had, when you knew you did something wrong, he never raised his voice. I never once heard him think about cussing, let alone cussing, but he did this. And that meant what I'm about to tell you is a learning moment. And his son Dan is a dear friend of mine. Andrew, his grandson, is the CEO of Chick-fil-A now. But when he did that, I knew to perk up and listen. It wasn't like some leaders where you're about to be scolded and fired. It was, here's how I might have done that differently, or how will you do that differently the next time? Because I really don't want to tell you how to do your job, but let's have a learning moment. And it was around the value. So anyway, bottom line of that, the quote in my mind was, Bill, hire the best people and we'll wait it out. They will attract the best customers and something to that degree. Now, that was 1974. So do I remember it exactly? No. Was I extremely nervous? Yes. And again, back to that kind of style of a leader. I'm full-time Army, full-time Air Force. And then I meet a Truett Cathy who is the kindest, gentlest man, but one of the smartest business people walking the globe, and how to do that and how to encourage people. So anyway, that's kind of my moment there, Steve. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that sounds good. He's a guy that it sounds like that carried a lot of power, but didn't have to use a hammer.
that's correct. Now he
Yeah,
did
it's
hire some powerful people
yeah, yeah.
because
I think
every
I'm talking to him.
organization needs some, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you, because I did see your background with Chick-fil-A, and I think it's one of that's the shining light of businesses right now. You just mentioned 20 billion debt free. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thousands of employees. What did you learn from that experience working for Truett and those guys?
Uh, wow.
Probably
That's
a
hard
lot.
to sum up real quick, but because books have been written about it, and some books have been written that aren't published about it. But in that, and our content partners, many of them have retired after 4 decades of working there, where I left after 1 decade, right? So, but there are some of our content partners were the first lady to be on the executive team at Chick-fil-A, and think of the old South, and in the 70s and 80s. And then 40 some years later, she retired, Deanne Turner. Uh, and her book, Bet on Talent, is truly about how do you encourage young people to become leaders of the future, even if they don't stay, which is yet another servant's heart, right? If you don't train them, somebody else will. And if you don't train them and they stay, what have you created? And if you train them and you leave, you got a whole lot better chance because they might even want to come back. So all the and my I left Chick-fil-A, right, wrong, or indifferent. It turned out different for everybody, right? We all get our life's journey, but I can still call some of those people from 40 and 50 years ago some of my best friends to this moment. So that tells you a little bit about the culture and how things go. Pardon me.
That's
Uh,
okay.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say that that's the connections I can imagine that just you talking about Truett and your
Mhm.
connection with him and now the grandson, how valuable that is because you treated them right as they treated you right. I love Chick-fil-A because they close on Sundays and
Right.
they're extremely successful. Any other business I talk, no way I can't close on Mondays. You're business oriented, not people oriented. And that's what I think Chick-fil-A shows with that closing on Sunday. Everybody, I think Christmas Day they're closed and so on and so forth, which is very powerful. Let's talk about this something really cool I found out about you. CEO, culture, execution, optimization.
Mhm.
What's the elements of
Well,
that?
well, that's kind of my mantra. Having been a partner in and built 4 global consulting firms and had successful sales, and God blessed me more than I certainly deserve. But through that, uh, you kind of get to see people and work with literally hundreds, if not thousands, of CEOs who are trying to cause transformational change. Some are trying to do it the right way. Some have a private equity sponsor or public shareholders or big block shareholders who don't want it done necessarily right. They just want it done. And so the how became greater than the why, which is one of our content partners, Preston Poor, one of his quotes, as he worked at Hershey Foods and also at Coca-Cola, but he would remind me of that today. He's got a brand new book coming out, How is Greater Than Why, and I just wrote the jacket cover endorsement because I had the pleasure of reading it before we bring it out in September or October. I forget his actual launch date. But back to the question, those CEOs, many of them would ignore culture or ignore the short-sightedness of 13 weeks make a quarter. So about 6 weeks into every quarter, if I don't have my metrics, I'm going to go cause havoc until I can see that I might get them. And that gets different degrees. Some people are long-term thinkers, but they always have to go out there on their earnings call. Most of my best clients were public companies or large private equity held holdings where maybe that one company was the keystone of the whole fund for the whole private equity firm. And then over the years, as we got bigger and bigger at it, maybe they were a multi-billion dollar part of the portfolio, and the portfolio was maybe 50 billion, but that one company was needing a turnaround, needing change. So culture, to me, is all about taking care of the people. What are all the processes? How do you make the processes be as repeatable and as unaccidental as possible? And then what are your policies? What are your values? And never hire anybody in my terms of culture unless they align to your personal values, which then end up over time becoming your corporate values. Many CEOs get hired long after the founder or the great idea has been gone, but I still encourage them at CEO Zones and in our online community. If your personal values don't match up, don't take that job because you're just waiting. You're going to end up, let's say, stubbing your toe, right? Or
Yeah.
cutting off an arm to get out of there, whatever the analogies might be. So that's around that culture piece of, again, people before profits will always pay off. You have to have the cash flow to afford that, but if you do it the right way, I think you'll get there and have the right investors and the right alignment and the right advisors would help you there. And then execution is truly how do you make it so easy that it looks simple? And great managers usually don't get a lot of awards because they just make it look so darn easy that no one's ever complaining about their department. Everything gets done on time. And those are the people that you want, not necessarily the squeaky wheels. You want the people with the perfect process. So that's my term for execution. And then optimization is we can all be better at taking care of our people, their families, their communities, our communities, optimizing process, the buzz of AI. We have multiple AI tools here at CEO Zones, and we're constantly using different partners because literally who was great at AI yesterday may not be any good tomorrow. And that's a real hard thing to look at, but that's what the industry's doing right now. And those are the things you want. And once you get those tools perfected, don't go back and fool with them. Go on to the next process because perfection will keep you from doing the right thing many, many times. But get
Yeah.
them to excellence, have raving fans, and then move on. So that's kind of my CEO mantra.
I like that. It's simple. Like you kept talking about simple. And I think of the iPhone, how many times it changes every year. That tells you how tech is. That's why AI, you're going to have to stay up to it because that's how it works. So talk
Well,
about,
it's better to replace yourself than have your competitor
yeah,
do it. It's behind all of that. But anyway.
that's a great, that's a great quote. That's because it is, that's very true. I'm a big collaborator. We've talked about it. And, people are still worried about competition, even amongst their teams and their employees. How do you foster collaboration in companies?
Well, I'll use the example of CEO zones. We have many different community owners, leaders that are part of our community, and we promote their community. Our community is for that billion and up CEO. We have other people that want to come into the community, And our curated content, our ability to talk to boardroom insiders and train on public boards, that's just not for that solopreneur. So we give them, we'll just say, hey, they've paid us, here's their money, put that toward whatever you charge. For instance, Breakfast Club Africa, we changed our venue because the average person there is a woman who's not got a husband, two children, and her local pastor. Those four people have some type of product they make and they need to sell it to get it out of the country to make a margin so that what's $100 to us is $10 to them. Those types of things, they're going to stay there. But sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that track, but those
No, no
those folks
worries.
came to mind. But cooperating with competitors, if you think about it, you really don't have a competitor if you're being culture, execution, optimization. If you're truly driving those things, you're there to help the next guy, maybe help them do better than you do, or learn from them. So I have very few. In fact, I don't think we have a competitor. I'm sure there's brands out there who our members say, "Well, I went to this organization." And I was a member and I met locally, but yours is digital and now I can meet people globally. That's just different as we go through life. Both are probably good. One might be better for you at the time you're at. So I don't look at competition as competition. It's how can we help individuals get better at what they're doing. So
It's a great
no
mindset.
competitors here.
No, it's a powerful mindset. That's how you breed success instead of fighting it, working with everybody, no matter who it is. You love youth leadership development. I read through your stuff. Why is
Mhm.
that such a passion for you, and what do you do with the youth?
Well, my most recent story, I can't put a finger on why it's such a
Okay.
passion, but I would say for at least 55 years, I'll be careful here. I read a chapter of Proverbs a day, and even my own children would say, don't you have it memorized by now? And I'm like, yeah, but what I'm thinking this morning or what happened yesterday affects what I'm reading today, and I'm going to see, feel, smell something different. So I think that applies to your question as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and it's powerful because you're right. What we are today, you were different 5 years ago. Completely different.
yeah.
You know,
A
that's
dear
five.
friend and mentor of mine, his quote was, "You'll be the same today as you are 5 years from now, except for the people you meet and the books you read." And I have just added to it the books you take action on because we all can read lots of books, but if you don't take action, then what good was it? Rolling
Yeah.
around up here doesn't help anybody. It's got to get out through your hands and feet somehow. So,
Yeah. Love that you can communicate it. And memorizing doesn't help. That's why school doesn't work. This is my thought. Reading it over and over again is how it gets ingrained in your subconscious. And that's
that's right.
powerful what you do. Yeah. So, Bill, personal and professional, the challenge, the people are like, how do I balance that? How do I work that? How do
Mm.
people handle, especially at CEO level?
Uh, well, I can tell you after Chick-fil-A and until I retired, I was the example of what not to do. I literally got in an airplane Sunday afternoons after church. And if I got home that weekend, the next weekend, I got home Thursday night around the midnight flight coming into my local airport, maybe Friday night coming into my airport, or I didn't get home at all that weekend. Uh, and I would get my 350 flights a year, year after year after year after year, all over the world, literally. Um, but so that's not exactly how to do it. I would say my wife raised two wonderful children, and we have five tremendous grandchildren who are now getting married and having babies. So I'm a great grandpa. Um, and my son got married just recently, so maybe we'll have grandchildren again. So we'll have had the blessing of grandkids when we were a little too busy, or I was too busy, maybe. And great grandkids are just wonderful. And so that's been a real blessing. But to balance work life, I would say what I learned 35 years too late, and having been married 50 years this year, she put up with a lot. But Randy Gravitt, one of our content partners, would say winning begins at home. So my word to people today would be, if you're not winning at home, it's impossible for you to have the elasticity, the chain, the length to go be successful in business. Or if you choose, I am the rarity where my wife is just tough and believes until death do us part and didn't kill me. Okay, so that was a blessing I had I didn't know I had at the time. But now I would strongly suggest winning begins at home. And if you fail at home, some people do turn out to work very hard, and that's how they shield themselves from
Yeah.
that failure. Uh, but Winning Begins at Home is Randy Gravitt's book. That's one of his keynote speaking. So check out Randy Gravitt at ceozone.com. But his book is also on our website. And he is the founder and co-founder with Mark Miller of Lead Every Day, which is a podcast every day. And I forget their current goal, but it is something like 50 million leaders trained. And this is after they've retired. So I'm just an old schmuck. These two guys retired and said, let's really get after it. So,
Good for them.
but go to their website, Lead Every Day, get the real goal, because I do forget their goal. It's such a big goal, this old guy couldn't put it together.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, let's start with 50 million. That sounds pretty big as a goal.
it's
So I
pretty
like
big.
that.
It's not 5 million. I know that because
Yeah,
they did that before they retired. So they didn't that's
there you
not
go.
yeah.
That's great. Last question before we close here.
Sure.
What is your legacy going to look like?
Uh, well, my legacy. So I guess I come at it, somewhere along the line, you read the book that says, what do you want on your tombstone and why does that matter? And so I'll come at it from that kind of perspective. I am working currently on mending some of those relationships with my own children who have forgiven me, but I haven't forgiven me. So I'm enabling them to have a wonderful life. We were very blessed with the resources for us to be able to do that. And it's a delicate balance of don't give too much that they become lazy, but at the same time, I've been very blessed with very intelligent, very hardworking children. And so I guess there's a fine balance there. And I was told, pardon me, I was told sometime last week, one day last week, I was off for a few weeks. We were at our cabin, and one of our high school friends. So when I become your friend, you can't shake me, right? So the young lady that was in our wedding, her husband came to work for me, and we're still friends, which will be, I don't know, our anniversary's in December, 50 years, but we were friends before that in high school, and worked together, played together, and all kinds of things. But they were at our cabin, and one of those legacy things would be being known as loyal, no matter whether the other person earned it or not. I think that's kind of where I come down. And some of my business partners would always say, loyalty is great, focus it on me, but why are we so loyalty to that person or this person? Well, guess what? We're all people. So I guess that's kind of part of my legacy of what I would hope, but I'm working on that. I'm not dead yet, Steve. So I'm still working
Okay.
on that legacy thing.
And we should always be working on it, which is great. Powerful legacy. I love it. I knew it'd be a great one. So I got a fun question for you. So I've reserved a table in a restaurant for you. You're going to sit in one of the chairs. The other three empty chairs, who would you invite, whether dead or alive, to converse, get to know, learn from, and what food would you order for the table?
So one would be Truett Cathy, because even though, sorry, I don't know what's
It's all
going
right.
on today. I turned my phone off. I didn't think to turn my watch off. Uh, so Truett Cathy would definitely be one of them. Uh, and it's just because he was such a man that he was what we would all hope to be, and that was he was a continual lifelong learner till his last day at 90 some years old. He was still trying to learn and how to help people and how to encourage people. So for sure, there's a lot more to learn from Truett Cathy. Um, some of my partners, I guess I would say, over the years, two of them never liked each other. We were partners at different firms. So I was a partner with this gentleman. His name is Victor. And then we sold that company, did really well, but he was older. And then my most recent partner, Steve, I think it would be fun to get the three of them together from a business point of view. From life point of view, our youth pastor became our senior pastor, and there's a whole lot of energy there. So I think we bring Tony, his name's Tony, bring Tony to the table, and I would sit back and probably not have to say a word, and I would learn a lot.
Big table.
What will we eat? Yeah. Truett would have a steak or a Chick-fil-A, depending on the day of the week, and is he feasting or famining and what cycle he was in health-wise. Steve would have sushi if we had that at that restaurant. Tony, I think he's a meat and potatoes kind of guy, and he might even bring his baseball mitt to the table as a senior pastor of a large church. But I would probably, I've had enough salmon most recently, this health kick thing I'm doing. I'd probably have a really nice steak with some crab imperial stuffed into it, kind of like slice the steak and put the crab imperial in there and then lay that back down and eat it like a steak. But that's probably what I'd have.
I just had lunch. Now you made me hungry again. I like it. That
Yeah.
sounded really good.
And
That
I
was
don't want to
awesome.
forget the females in my life,
Oh yeah,
but my
we'll bring
wife
extra
probably
chips.
wouldn't enjoy a lot of the conversation, but she knows each of them as friends and individuals, so that part of the conversation she would certainly enjoy. Um, and she would have probably surf and turf because you know, when you go to the restaurant, it says market value.
Yeah.
And at least 30 of the 50 years of marriage, I've never heard her say, well, how much is it?
I know the feeling, Bill. I
Okay.
know the feeling
So,
very
so
well.
in any event, yeah.
That's great. Well, you've been a blessing. You're retired, but you're still out there serving. You're still bringing value with CE Zones. How can people reach out to you to learn more about CE Zones or just connect with you?
Sure. So our website is ceozones.com. And that is a very small on purpose portion because what we're trying to do is serve the billion and larger CEOs with everything about their life. This is interesting. Everything about their life. We're not just about leadership, we're about their entire life. So, zones, the concept comes from maybe they want to learn how to fly fish. Well, we have fly fishing expert there that will help them curate that content, maybe even meet them. We have a female executive stylist. Nina sits down with the Fortune 100 CEO females and says, what do you wear to a wedding? What do you wear to a funeral? What do you wear to a board meeting? What's your makeup? What's your haircut? What are your glasses? What about your jewelry? And then that's part of the communication styles training and takes that even further on, are they presenting? Are they in the audience? What are they doing? So we have different content. Each zone has something special. One of my favorites would be you're going to go to your Barrett Jackson for the first time. Well, how do you prepare? What's your budget? What did you drive as a kid? What did your dad drive? What did your grandpa drive? What are you interested in? You know, convertible, hardtop, removable convertible. Pipe smoking, because I'm a pipe smoker, right? When I was building companies, I smoked cigars on occasion, but didn't have time for a pipe. And now I'm retired, I have time for a pipe. So
Nice.
there's about 4,500 pipe smokers in an organization or a community. And it's interesting. You're either 50 and up or 21, 22, 23. Those are there's not too many
Interesting.
people in between. So I might even say 60 and up now that I think about that number. I didn't do the math.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's
Sorry to
awesome.
go on there. Sorry.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate everything that you say. And thanks again for being an incredible guest and audience. Me and Bill want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.